welcome to a 6-in-1 movement break. This session is all about walking balance. We're going to start with our right foot forward. I'm going to show you on a bit of an angle so you can see my back foot is going to be relaxed enough that my heel might even lift off the ground for this one. So we're going to start with an arm swing, gentle front to back. With this motion, we should notice how we feel the stretch coming through the entire part of the front of the body, from the shoulder all the way through the hips, down towards the ankle. Now let's take that hand and we're going to reach it over the top of our head. Allow our body to follow that reaching hand. So you'll notice that my hips are following the reaching hand rather than being rigid. We want to teach our shoulders and our hips how to move and work together. This is going to help us to have more efficient walking and we'll be able to get more power out of our steps as well. And the final one, a little bit of rotation into this one. We're just going to swing the arm on an angle, rotating clockwise and counterclockwise. You should notice how you're turning to the right and turning to the left. Also notice how the body weight is shifting into the front knee, into the back leg. So remember I mentioned earlier about that back heel allowing to come up and down. We really want to allow that to happen, especially in this rotational movement. Let's do the same thing on the other side. So left foot forward, we're going to let that arm swing forward and back. So here you should really notice a nice big stretch through the front of that back hip. This is going to help us with our stride length, to be able to get longer, bigger steps. Now when we walk, our power comes from the hip's ability to load up and be able to generate that power and transfer energy. So to do this, we need to have hip mobility in all the planes that it moves. And this one's pretty important, the side-to-side motion. But it's also one that often, if you're doing it for the first time, you might feel like you're a little locked up in this range. So don't be afraid to take the move a little bit smaller. We always want to find that motion that is comfortable for our bodies, for our shoulders. Maybe you have shoulder issues that reaching overhead is a little bit discomfort. Final one, rotation. This is one of my favorite warm-up routines. Great to start any workout because it is a full body stretch, but it also is just the teaching of the shoulders and hips how to move together. Great for sports, warming up before maybe a game of tennis or a game of golf, again because you're getting that movement, that mobility through the entire body. Now we're going to start to build a little bit more strength into this. We're going to be using an arm pattern. We get that right foot forward and we're going to start with a left hand reach. This would be a great time if you have a small hand weight, maybe a bottle of water that you want to bring into this workout session. You could pick that up now. Now let's see what happens if we reach the hand down towards the same side. You might feel a little wobbly. If you do, back it up a little bit. We want to feel like we have control in the motion. A hand weight, something small, 2 to 3 pounds, helps to generate just that slight bit of resistance to help us actually control this movement. Now here's the last one, how we're going to use that rotational plane. We're going to reach up and over like a diagonal line. If you were standing in water, you would imagine like you were lifting water from the pool floor up to the surface. If you got your small hand weight, you should notice how you're dragging that weight through at a nice steady tempo. So it's not quick. By going slow and steady, what we should notice is some nice loading into that hip in the front leg. Let's try that on the other side. Start with that reach in front. Now again, when we repeat this on the other side, we're going to notice some differences right to left. One side might feel stronger, one side we might be able to move a little bit more range than the other. Maybe one side we got to keep it a little smaller. Honor those differences. Find the range that feels good. And as you work within that range, it'll get bigger and bigger as you expand that sphere of function around you. Let's do that. Same side reach towards the floor or towards the hip. Again, I really like this one with a small weight, so it's a great thing to bring in for this. And the last motion we have, that's that rotational movement where we're going to lift. It's like we're lifting something up off the floor and up towards the shoulder. Maybe you're lifting a bag of groceries. So we want to have that slow and steady motion, lifting the object from the back up in front on that diagonal line. There we go. All right, now that you know those hand motions, we're going to put the feet in a different position. We're going to step one foot out to the side. Now, we're going to put those 3 arms into action together. So we're going to go 2 to the front, 2 to the side, and 2 diagonal reach. Now you should be feeling the stretch through the leg a little bit different than you did in round 1. We're getting a little bit more of inner thigh stretch on that straight leg. We're getting a lot of loading into that hip, strengthening on the bending knee side. So work through that 3 rounds here, and then we'll get to the other side. And stepping now the left foot over, shift that body weight, lean it in, and find that comfortable distance, and then get those arm patterns. And you might have to modify one side. Modification might be faster or slower speed, bigger or smaller range, and may even have to change up that foot positioning. Maybe you need to bring your feet closer together, or maybe they can go wider. Finishing up in this final round. And then we're gonna add a little bit of movement into it. So here I'm gonna ask you just to use the space that's around you. We're gonna be walking forward and back. So we're gonna travel forward and back just as you do, and you travel across the space that you have available. Let's just think about the landing heel to toe as we go forward, toe to heel as we go back. And we'll go one more round. And then pause in place. Let's get that right foot forward. Let's do that. Actually, let's go wide. And let's do that same pattern that we did with the arm, but this time we're going to lead with the shoulder. So the shoulder is going to lead to the front. It's going to drop down to the side. And then it's going to scoop up to the opposite corner. One more round. Lead with the shoulder. So again, we're just trying to really get in to those shoulder blades and the hips. Create some nice motion. And let's lean on over to the other side. Shoulder reach front. Shoulder reach side. And across on that diagonal line. One more go. And let's go for a walk one last time. This time, let's go knees high. If you want, you can even reach those arms up overhead as you go, creating a nice sponging action for the spine as we go. So we're bringing the knees up and down, we're reaching the arms up overhead and creating a lot of motion through the spine. If this overhead reach isn't comfortable for you, just take the arms ahead and bring it back to the start. Here is your final finish. We're going to go right foot forward, a little bit wider. We're going to do that arm pattern, but this time we're going to allow that opposite hand to reach directly across from the reaching hand. As you progress through this workout, you might even find that these big arm reaches are something that you'd like to add a little bit earlier on. You got the pattern? We're going to go to the other side, and let's see if you can get this. We got 6 directions. I hope you're starting to learn what those are. Front and back, right and left, and right and left rotation. One more round. You're almost there. And there you go. Reaching, stepping, and building better balance for walking.